After one of the most impressive and clutch victories in franchise history, the Phillies came out looking about as lifeless as they possibly could in Game 3 in New York. They ultimately suffered a loss to the New York Mets, now just one game away from elimination in the postseason, in about as frustrated fashion as could possibly go down. So me and Luke are going to break down exactly what went wrong with this Phillies team en route to the 7-2 loss to the Mets there. Aaron Nola looked solid overall, had two bad pitches. The bullpen came in, allowed a couple, but really the story of the game in my mind is absolutely the guys at the plate and the lifeless at-bats that came. So, Luke, I'll throw it to you right off the rip here. What's your number one takeaway, and where are you at as far as mentality standpoint?
Yeah, I mean it's just you got nothing from the offense. That's really where I'm at.
Yeah.
I mean you can look down the box score. You can see a Trey hit and a Harper hit and a Casty hit. But if you do this before the eighth inning, you see nothing there. You see nothing from Bohm. I mean, the Bohm hit, I don't even count that as a hit. Probably the slowest guy in the league. Ropes the ball off the wall. And I will say that was a really impressive throw, and they got a really nice bounce off of that wall. But, they had two hits, I think, one hit in the first 7 innings.
And by the way, just about any other runner not named Nick Castellanos or Alec Bohm beats out that first at bat as well, in which Bohm was just barely out on.
Correct.
That should be a single and a double if you're not as slow as
should be.
Yeah,
it absolutely should be. There's a million things you can look at. You can look at that Jose Alvarado inning. They probably should have been out of that inning. That should have probably been strike 3. But it's just the offense. That's really all it is. It's just putrid at bats. They don't even look like they care.
No.
And
no.
This is what frustrates me the most is you sit there for 162 regular season games and you're like, just get us to the playoffs. We want to go back to Red October. Harper's ready to die for this city. And Castellanos talks about Red October and Bohm wants to get back and Schwarber's ready. And then you just go out there and you lay another dud. Laid a dud in game 1.
Yeah.
Wheeler threw the best start of his career, and the offense laid a freaking dud. They dudded through 6 innings yesterday, all the way up until those 2 homers on Sunday, whenever the game was. Sunday. You do that. You make a great comeback win. 1-1. You're going into Citi Field. You don't feel great about the split, but you're like, hey, we really, honestly, they should have been down 0-2 coming into this tonight.
Yeah.
And then you just go out there tonight. Aaron Nola has a great first inning, gets roughed up a little in the second, but this Pete Alonso thing, the dude just owns him. You just have to admit it at that point. He just freaking owns Aaron Nola, right? Nola goes out, lets up the solo home run, gets out of that inning with nothing else, gets out of the 3rd inning with nothing else, and you just lay another dud.
Yeah.
I don't get it. I don't get it. I never will. Your biggest deadline acquisition looks like he couldn't even make a Double-A team. Austin Hayes stinks, and I'm over it, and he shouldn't see another at-bat in this playoff. If he is out there, even if they get to a Game 5, I don't care who pitches for the Mets. If he even sniffs the field, it's an embarrassment.
Yeah.
And you get Sosa, who's supposed to bring you energy, right? That was the thing the other day. He brings you energy. And then he goes out tonight, he bobbles that infield in-ground ball. Should have been a double play. Should have got you out of the inning, right? Led to another run. And you have guys like Rojas. Listen, I love Rojas. I've been a supporter all year. But if 6, 7, 8 is not hitting, you can't afford to have Rojas out there. JT Realmuto looks lost. We can start throwing away. We probably should have done it 6 months ago. We can throw away the whole BCIB thing.
They kind of have.
Because it's not close.
Yeah,
it's not close. The dude just can't hit. He can hit here and there. But these moments right now for him, it's just nothing. And don't even get me started with the dude on the screen. 5 pitches in 4 at-bats. Since he got benched in game 2, he's had 6 at-bats. He's seen 8 pitches.
Yeah.
8 in 6 at-bats. It just can't happen. And I don't understand. I will never understand it, but it's just it's so frustrating because all you ask for is these starters to go out and just do a job.
Yep.
And you make life so much harder for Wheeler, for Sanchez, for Nola. What are we doing here right now? What are they doing?
Yeah, and I can go down the line. I would like to dig in on each one of those guys, from Alec Boehm specifically, who incredibly frustrating the plate approach, as you mentioned. Trey Turner, there needs to be a serious conversation about, because he's just never going to live up to what that contract dictates, and we need to face that one head on. But before I dive into each of these guys individually here, I'm frustrated by the complacency of this team, and you just can't flip the switch the way they seem to believe they could throughout the entirety of the season. It really has been foot off the gas for months at this point. They had this hot start to the season. They looked like they were taking things seriously in the way that we all desired, and then flash forward to the midpoint of the year, and that was kind of it for this Phillies team. That it was just drift through, we'll wait till the playoffs, and then we'll wake up. Well, guess what? Here we are, and you guys haven't. And yes, hat tip to this Mets team, who looks unbelievable, who does compete. That this is a team that has some of the characteristics that we fell in love with this Phillies team. There's no denying that. But the reality is, this is the Phillies team not meeting the challenge here. You mentioned Trey Turner here. That play, that tag out at second base, you cannot throw a better ball than what JT Realmuto did on that stolen base attempt.
Just has to be an out. It's the playoffs. It just has to be an out.
And
you got to figure it out.
Well, I guess Bryson Stott was the one in the other game. But the bottom line being, that would have saved 2 runs right there. What is the Trey Turner thing, man? Yes, he's hit better for average. Yes, he's had a couple singles here throughout this series. But this dude is supposed to be a foundational piece, that we should be talking about the Bryce Harpers, the Kyle Schwarbers, Trey Turner in that type of conversation. He's just not that guy, and that's a serious issue for the long term of this team. We're heading to year 3 of an 11-year contract next year. This guy's not going anywhere. So I don't see the upside with Trey Turner. And it's just, for me, I guess the number one thing I'll throw back to, it does feel like there's not the same bite in this team that we saw in past years. They feel complacent to me.
They're gutless. Yeah, they're just gutless. Like, it's just like the chasing is going to drive me up a wall. Like, Sean Manaea, look, 20 of Sean Manaea's 71 pitches through the first, whatever it was, 5 1/3.
Yeah.
They've been to Kyle Schwarber.
Looked like
8
Cy
other
Young
guys
himself.
saw a combined 51 pitches. Like, what are we doing? Like, they're just gutless. And I'm the most delusional person ever. Like, and I'm going to sit here and say, don't let them win game 4. But you can't win a game 4 if you don't hit.
Yeah.
And like, haven't shown you anything. Doesn't matter what Ranger gives you tomorrow. If you can't hit, you can't hit.
Mm-hmm. And so, like, that's kind of the main, like, for both the games they lost in the series, your 2 aces on the mound with Aaron Nola and Zack Wheeler, they both did their job. Zack Wheeler was unbelievable in game 1. Aaron Nola was just fine tonight. You take him going as deep as he did with a 2-0 deficit in the playoffs, that is just fine. That's what you hope for. You got to take the bats off the shoulders, or maybe keep them on your shoulders a little more than we have been seeing based on all the chasing that's going down here. But the reality is, it is 2-1. Their backs are against the wall. And now we have to roll with Ranger Suarez, who seems like he's been pitching on a dead arm for most of at least the second half of the season. So, Luke, to kind of turn a page on this a little bit and look towards it, what is your kind of outlook here? What is your level of concern, positivity? I know that we'll talk ourselves into it by the time first pitch comes around, but it's tough to feel great about this team. How do you feel about game 4?
I'm delusional. I already have. But yeah, I mean, I don't feel great. Like, once again, if you can't hit, you can't hit. But like I've said the whole time, and there's a part of me that still really trusts a Ranger in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So listen, I think Ranger can go out there and give you some innings tomorrow. It's just everything falls on the offense.
You have to hit.
Right? Like, you can. I don't know if the Phillies know this. You can win a game if your starter allows like 3 or 4 runs. Like, you don't need 2 runs to win every game.
People do it all the time, in fact.
Yeah, people do it a lot.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, I can't say I feel good because I don't. But I've put in too much into this team to just give up. They're gutless right now. I think deep down they're just kind of gutless in general. But once again, I'm delusional. Just don't let them win game 4. Because I'd have a lot of confidence in a Zack Wheeler.
Absolutely.
Basically win or go home. As far as the pitching, the offense, you just don't know. You just kind of have to hope they get hot, because if they're not hot, they are about as cold as you can get right now.
Yeah, and I guess my kind of breaking point with this team currently is it felt like there's something this Phillies team connected with from like a never say die mentality that very few teams in the city have reached. Like the Sixers and Eagles certainly have not in past years, and this Phillies team has gotten it. And to see them go this far, to have these runs, to be braced up or loaded up for season 3, year 3 of this deep playoff run, it just doesn't look like they have that same fire, that same spark. And that's probably the most disappointing thing to me is there's been a lot when we look back and revisit this season when it's fully over. And I know the series isn't over yet, so we're not doing this just yet. We're not going full negative mode. But when you zoom out and take a look at the entire mindset of the season, the little stuff, the not allowing JT Realmuto to pinch hit on his days off, the making sure that we're, punting on games that they probably shouldn't have right before the All-Star break, giving up on a game, things like that, the little decisions that they've made, it just sets a tone that, like, this team should not be embracing. And it's really frustrating to kind of see this come full together. And I think it makes it even worse, not just that they're the New York Mets, but they're everything that this Phillies team should be. They are this never say die team. They are this team that kind of gets it from a standpoint. And they've obviously caught lightning in a bottle late in the season, but sometimes that's baseball, man. So I think just watching these teams contrast against the way they carry themselves, the way the vibe is, and really just seeing what we've seen in past years, could not be more disappointed in what we're seeing from this Phillies team thus far.
Yeah, it just really sucks.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really the bottom line. It just sucks because you go out and you win 95 games, and you go out and you win your first division title in 13 years, and you go out and, I mean, you have a guy like Bryce Harper who just has another 30 homer season, and a guy like Kyle Schwarber who's just crushing home runs again, and you have unbelievable starting pitching in the regular season, and you have an unbelievable bullpen in the starting pitching. I'm in the regular season, and then you just go flat.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'll say this: the Phillies are favored tomorrow. They are favored as of now.
It's Quintana pitching for the Mets, right?
Do whatever you want with your money. Yeah. So it'll be Ranger versus Quintana tomorrow. I mean, they haven't hit them great in the regular season. I will say Rangers been pretty good against the Mets. So I don't know. Just I don't have much faith, but if I were the Mets, I wouldn't let them win game 4 because I don't think the Mets want to come back to Citizens Bank for a game 5. They look lifeless, but just don't let them win game 4.
Yeah, well, hopefully that we can talk about that point, get to that point. Phillies Digest family, I think now more than ever, I could use the fire up, the speech in the comments, the beliefs. Let me know what you guys are thinking, your vibe check on the series. Are me and Luke overreacting to this? But right now, I'm about as down as I've been during this era of Phillies baseball, and that's how I'm feeling at the moment. So let me know if you're with me in the comments. Appreciate each and every one of you guys tuning into this video here. Make sure you smash that subscribe button and like this video if you have not already. And hopefully me and Luke will be back talking with you in a little bit different mood this time tomorrow night. Peace.